2023 is now over, and not everything that came out this year was good. Some of it was hot garbage, and if you're looking for a positive look back on the year, I have made a top 10 best list already. There's a link to it in the description and in the iCard for your convenience. However, if you want to revel in the disappointment, you're in the right place. How much does it suck to be excited for a show, and then you get to it and it's a massive disappointment? Don't you want to just hear someone else validate your frustrations by venting about it too? Well, let's not dilly-dally anymore. Let's dive into my personal top 10 worst shows of 2023. You know what no one was asking for? A reimagined new spin on the classic 2000s sitcom How I Met Your Mother. Well, except for Hilary Duff, whose career has gone absolutely nowhere, so here we are.
Wow, we're really running out of board games to drink to.
Similar to its inspirational predecessor, it's about a group of eclectic adult friends who hang out primarily in a bar and struggle with the day-to-day life of shenanigans of living in a city, trying to get the job you want, and most importantly, finding the love of your life. What's really disappointing is that this second season is much better than the first season, mostly because we don't spend nearly as much time on solely Hilary Duff's character, Sophie, who is consistently the worst.
She's gonna give birth on the couch, and then we're gonna buy her a new couch, and then we're gonna spend our entire lives paying off the couch.
Unfortunately, the four really interesting characters, while getting more screen time this season, still constantly get sidelined for Sophie and Val's stupid, boring plot lines.
Ice!
Nope, shrimp.
You know what sounds like a great premise for a show? A lesbian farmer and a rich British fellow end up as roommates in a big city, and as they try to figure out their bearings in this confusing, fast-paced town, they also try to help each other with finding meaningful relationships and develop as amazing friends. That's great! I love that.
But look at me, I'm a super mom!
And I'm the helpless little cutie that inspired you.
These two are the best characters in the whole show, and they always got shafted. Instead, we're always stuck with Sophie, doing the most stereotypical sitcom plot threads we've ever seen, complete with annoying contrivances that I thought we left back in 2005. On that note, Hilary Duff might not be a Disney teen star anymore, but her acting skills sure haven't grown up with her. Top it all off with the fact that the show got cancelled, so now we'll never even know who the father was. Oh well.
Did you just pour a ton of frozen shrimp in a tub that a woman's about to give birth in?
Another sitcom that just doesn't get it. That's the real painful thing about sitcoms. When they're not funny, they're really not funny. This one is in a similar vein as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, following the misadventures of an animal control team, and it's super lame. None of the characters get to evolve beyond the basic archetype that they're introduced as. What's worse is they barely even talk to each other. The same characters are always paired with each other, making it feel like a team of strangers.
Conditioner to get out the canola oil, which was to get out the gum, which was my bad.
And the jokes just aren't snappy or witty enough to really land. Joel McHale seems to be phoning it in hard.
Bear, get this, in a hot tub.
He looks so relaxed. Did he turn the jets on?
Also, for being a whole show about handling animals, the actual animals all suck. Like, they're almost all obviously low-quality puppets or badly photoshopped into the scene. Which, like, why? That's the whole premise of the show. If you couldn't get the animals, maybe don't have it be about an animal control squad. Top it all off with wandering high school teen drama levels of, ooh, does this person have a crush on me? Type of drama. And this show is dead on arrival.
Am I doing this just so you can say pig in a blanket?
Absolutely.
Gordon Ramsay's Food Stars.
I've already made a full video going into detail about why this show is bad, so if you want a more in-depth explanation, make sure to check out that vid, link in the description. But in short, it's just a painfully vapid vanity project for Gordon Ramsay. The challenges are stupid, the contestants are all unlikable.
We're gonna ASMR this. extra virgin olive oil.
And Gordon basically just made the show to try to make himself look as cool as possible. Ooh, he gets to hang out with fancy people with big important names. No one cares you're a business mogul, Gordon. You're the current face of Triscuit crackers, come on. The contestants are competing to become an entrepreneur alongside Gordon, so watch with amazement as they handle a slew of challenges that have absolutely nothing to do with being a business mogul.
All of you to create your very own TikTok-style video.
They don't even cook cool food for the challenges. It's such a lame waste of screen time. And from the looks of it, a very expensive flop for Gordon Ramsay, which is not exactly a very good look for a business mogul, huh?
We did our best.
No, we didn't do our best.
Man, how the mighty have fallen. The first best of the year list I made back in 2019 had the #1 best show as Barry Season 1. Last year, it only made it as an honorable mention, and now this year, ugh, I can't understand how the show got so off the deep end. All of the interesting things we were setting up or was a selling point of the initial show have long been forgotten.
I'm really sorry. I didn't think it would end up like this.
Oh, you liked the idea of a hitman who's trying to turn his life around thanks to his newfound love of acting? Oh well, this season is about Barry escaping from prison, throwing everyone else under the bus, and then literally running away with Sally for actually 10 years. Yeah, there's a huge time skip after like episode 4 or something.
Pragmatism, optimism, and compromise.
Absolutely.
Where Sally, who I thought wanted nothing to do with Barry, decides off-screen to run away with him and go into hiding in the middle of nowhere. Like, literally the middle of nowhere. Where they have a child. And also Barry becomes like a devout religious person.
You know what Jesus did? He multiplied it all. And he fed all of them.
All of this happened off-screen. It came so out of nowhere and feels so backwards to the direction the characters were going that for a couple of episodes I was convinced that this was just a hallucination Barry was having. But nope. It's crazy to me. They just ruined all of the characters, either by flanderizing their personalities, completely changing their personalities, or arbitrarily taking away everything they had going for them. It sucked, it was disappointing, and I'm amazed it ended up this way.
You know what I like about old Abe?
I've already talked way too long about this season of RWBY. A whole 2.5 hour long video going into excruciating detail about this one, so go ahead and check it out if you want, but to summarize, it's just weird and pointless. 9 whole seasons in, and they've decided to just completely ignore the many cliffhangers we left off of last time. We were going somewhere. The villains were winning, civilians needed to be saved, but fuck it. Keep all that shit off screen. Instead, let's spend a whole season dicking around Wonderland.
I think we're in a fairy tale.
And I'm not even joking, it's just their version of Wonderland, complete with lazy, uninspired references to the original story. Great.
You are in the presence of royalty! That's me, thank you very much.
Our heroes get stuck in Wonderland sounds like the summary of a weird non-canon movie spin-off, but don't worry, RWBY already got 2 of those this year too. 90% of the cast isn't even here. 3 of the main girls become insufferable jerks who can't even notice when one of their closest friends and sister is clearly going through depression after her best friend just died, which they don't even bother talking about. We'll keep that really important conversation off screen. Good idea. They turned the one boy character who came along with them into a 40-year-old, and then they have one of the girls get super horny for him.
And when did you get so
mature?
Oh my god. The actual worst part of it is the fact that they fumble their message so badly that it accidentally looks like they're glorifying suicide. Like, yeah, Ruby decided not to kill herself, and that's a good thing, but also, we have a literal whole town of paper people who even the writers have compared to being like children, and they all work together to drown themselves. And then it's painted as a good thing.
Just like they said, they came back from the tree better.
They're better off now because the children paper people died. Ugh. A horrid waste of time with terribly managed moral lessons, all just to staple on unnecessary lore from the very beginning of the in-universe's timeline. A stupid, weird waste.
That the world would just be better off without you.
Man, remember how good Mandalorian was? How it was a refreshing, charming new story to come out of the interesting world of Star Wars? Now remember how the third season ruined all of it? First of all, you have to watch the atrocious Boba Fett show just to understand what the hell was happening. At the end of season 2, Grogu and Mando were separated. Now suddenly they're back together again? How? Why? What happened to Luke? Well, you gotta watch Boba Fett to find out.
Now that he's with me, I'll be more selective in my assignments.
You can just really tell they had no idea what to do with this season. The writers have gone on record saying that season 2 was supposed to be the end of the Mandalorian story, and you can definitely tell with this third season that this was a half-assed attempt to still scrape in a little bit of money off of Grogu's popularity. This is one of the worst examples of flanderization I've ever seen. Mando can't use the Darksaber anymore because of bullshit reasons, constantly bumbling into problems and needs to be saved all the time, hung up on doing a million space chores just because he can't get over that one dead robot who was voiced by Taika Waititi, a character who I had honestly completely forgotten about because they really weren't all that important in the long run. Bo-Katan is now just sitting around a giant empty house doing nothing. I thought you had a crew. I thought you had your own personal story going on. And now Grogu is able to use his Jedi powers, who he just started training with, to beat Mandalorian apprentices in battle. And it's all just so goofy. Yeah, they got their cute little happy ending, but was it worth it? Seeing these characters become watered-down shells of what they used to be, watching the story become typical and soulless, was it worth it? Well, surely this isn't the worst from Star Wars this year, right? It couldn't possibly get worse, right? Man, I really wanted this one to be good. I was actually really looking forward to it. I never watched Clone Wars, but it's impossible to not know about the badass Ahsoka. She's a fun character and a great foil alongside Anakin. Well, at least she was. Now in her old age, she's gotten rather dreary and stern.
I'm afraid it doesn't work like that.
Okay, that's fine. Well, what's she even doing in this show? She's teaming up with old pals from the Clone Wars series to try to find a friend named Ezra. And you know what? It's honestly amazing. It's amazing how the show can have space dogship fights, wizards with swords fighting, a bunch of robots and literal witches, but it can still manage to be so fucking boring. No one talks to each other. We don't do anything. I honestly have no idea how they stretched out this paper-thin premise out to be more than 4 episodes. This should have been a movie. What are you doing?
Great. How far out are you in the fleet?
Unfortunately, I won't be joining you for this one.
The characters barely interact or even move. Every problem is solved easily and lazily. The camera work and editing is just so buffoonish. Like, in episode 1, we just sit around and watch as a character slowly figures out their space Rubik's Cube in real time. Like, come on, what are we sitting here watching this for? Cut away and cut back. Wait, what are you doing? To explain exactly how bad the show is, let me tell you how one of the major plot points worked out. This is General Hera. She's cool. She wants to go out and help Ahsoka find Ezra, but the council tells her no. She ignores their orders and go off to do it anyways, dragging her young child along with her, which was stupid. This is a dangerous mission. Why did you bring him? Whatever. The whole season, it's constantly being reminded to her that this was a dangerous choice. She disobeyed orders. She could be severely punished for this. She might even go to jail over it. And then when she's facing the council again, ready to address the consequences of what she's done, I'm not even kidding, C-3PO shows up literally out of nowhere. He was not in the show before now. He just shows up and says that Leia thinks this is fine.
I am here on behalf of Senator Leia Organa.
Leia decided to excuse Hera's actions because why not? She read the script, I guess. We didn't hint at this at all. There was no hint. There was no inclination that this was going to be a thing. I can only imagine how massively disappointing this was for someone who actually had watched the Clone Wars.
I can't use the Force. I don't feel it.
I really like Goosebumps, the classic books. Bringing these books to life in a series together makes sense. On my top 10 best list, I talked about The Fall of the House of Usher, which had a very similar premise of taking these classic tales and threading them together to make a bigger narrative. Now, take everything Usher did right and do the opposite. That's the mess we get from Goosebumps. Justin Long, bless his heart, is putting in so much effort into this role, and he truly is one of the best parts, and that's what makes it hurt more. The fact that there are some really great moments, really emotional moments. There's one part in particular with this character named Lucas when his mother tells him that his dad didn't die by accident, it was a suicide. And honestly, that scene is really powerful. Their performances and the directing is all really, really great.
Mom, get out of my way before I run you over.
No. Now, I know you're mixed up and confused right now.
So it hurts so much more that the majority of the show is being dragged down by the stupidity of the rest of the performances. The biggest problem is the dialogue. It's just so painful, and you could tell that the actors just don't know how to do this. They don't know how to work with this garbage script they've been given.
Whoa! Oh my god, we need to talk.
Why does James smell like watermelon Jolly Ranchers?
I was just gonna say.
It reeks of an old man desperately trying to replicate the slang of modern day high schoolers. Which, can we stop trying to do that? It never works. It's always just cringy as hell. Every time one of the kids opens their mouths, some stupid bullshit falls out of it. Usually said by James. Poor kid. James deserved better. There was one scene where they were talking about how boring one of their parents is, and someone said, "Yeah, your dad is totally normcore." And then another one said, "He put together puzzles before the pandemic." And then a third person said, "His aura is totally beige." Come on. Any one of those lines was bad. We really needed all three of them. There was another scene where Lucas and Isaiah are debating on whether or not they think it's safe for Margot to do something related to the plot, and then James interrupts them and says,
"Okay, it's getting really cishet up in here."
What do you mean? What do you mean in the context of this scene? Why would anyone say that? You can't just say the things that you think you hear children say. Oh my Jesus. And the whole show ends off on a huge cliffhanger. Well, with how rushed and sloppy everything was, I highly doubt they'll be getting a second season.
Oh my god, we're murder nepo babies.
Jeez Louise, Marvel. What an absolute load of shit. I knew everything was going to be going downhill for this show when I saw its disgustingly AI-generated opening. What a trash fire. You'd think a series all about Nick Fury and the Skrull hiding amongst us would be interesting. Well, actually, no. I never thought this was going to be interesting, but boy howdy, I hoped it would be better than this. The CG in the show is garbage. It literally looks less believable and more ugly than the prosthetic effects from Star Trek: The Next Generation from friggin' 1987. What's the worst thing about this show? No, it's not the boringly drawn out, pointless conversations that are clearly meant to fill time by waxing poetics but saying very little. No, it's not the fact that the majority of the cast is a bunch of space losers I've never heard of before and who I don't care about. It's 100% the fact that this show ruins so many characters and retcons so many super important things to be absolute garbage. Hey, do you like Maria Hill? Too bad, she's dead now. Very suddenly. She's just suddenly dead. Hey, did you know that Nick Fury secretly, this whole time, has had a Skrull wife sitting around waiting for him?
I kept having this feeling that someone I know had something to do with getting them all together.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't change my opinion about some of his actions from the previous films. What? Why would you give him a secret wife? That makes no sense. Oh, you still want to ruin more of the prior films? Make the things about those that were good and turn them bad? Well, guess what? Apparently, Rhodey wasn't actually in Endgame.
He is a Skrull.
Yeah, apparently, we're implying that this was actually a Skrull version of Rhodey. Yeah, the one movie where he finally gets to take center stage and really be one of the main heroes who saves the day, and gets to develop with Nebula and all that stuff, and we're retconning that and saying that he wasn't even really there. We're apparently saying that Rhodey missed Tony's death. Great. Really great, Marvel. You loser idiot hacks. Why would you decide on this? They might go back on that decision, but still. The fact that this is what they were planning on going with tells me plenty about how badly they're fumbling their own story. What's that? Gaia, a character who we've never met before, absorbed all of the superpowers from all of the Avengers ever, and is now another stupid version of Captain Marvel? Overpowered and everything? What a great idea. I definitely don't hate everything about these decisions. She uses Drax's powers, which, first of all, how do they even get Drax's DNA? But second, it gave her Drax's tattoos? It's so stupid how little thought and care went into any of this. It's infuriating. I've never seen a company try harder to nosedive their credibility into the toilet. What a garbage show.
One last fight.
Now, before we get to number 1, let's take a look at some dishonorable mentions. Want to see a bunch of celebrities sit around pretending they're on Mars and doing really basic chores in stupid astronaut suits? No? What if I told you I got dragged out for 12 whole episodes? Boring premise, terrible contestants who barely talk to each other, and Lance Armstrong can eat shit.
Snake Oil, series premiere.
This is a weird little game show, and I'll be honest, I only watched one episode of it, but I hated it. But I had to talk about it. It's just the contestants looking at unusual products and guessing which ones they think are real or not. But even by the first episode, I quickly realized that the crazy, goofy, weird products they have on the show are mainly just specialty items for people with disabilities, like being able to dry your feet and ankles without needing to bend down too far to reach them. They're like, what? That makes no sense. It's so crazy. Also, David Spade just does not care. There's not a single shred of effort in his performance here. It's amazing. Real talk, this was supposed to make the list proper, but here's the problem, I never finished watching it. I got 3 episodes in, and I just hated everything that was going on. And I can't allow myself to put a show on the proper list that I haven't finished watching all the way through, but based on the first 3 episodes and what I've seen from Twitter about the finale, it's hot garbage. Loki, at the start of the episodes, will start by showing off some amazing magical ability, but then during the climactic fight of the episode, he doesn't do anything other than like little green glowing throws. It's so dumb. It's like anti-Chekhov's gun. The sets feel weirdly empty, the scripts feel even emptier, where our main characters from last time and the new character of Obi primarily just stand around doing jack shit. It's painfully boring, and they do some real stupid stuff. Like, they have this one random TVA lady kill off like 1,000,000 branches from the timeline, when Loki could have easily stopped her. It's just It's so lazy, it's stupid, it's boring. I can't understand how they did this. But now it's time for my number one pick. The absolute worst show of 2023 was... What a colossal pile of hot dog turds. I've never seen a cartoon that was so vitriolic towards its own fanbase. This washed-up comedian's attempt at staying relevant is a new spin on the classic cartoon Scooby-Doo, where the plot doesn't matter because it's all so stupid that no one really cares anyway.
Brenda's? Into me. Nah, I know. I'm caliente, as this one's people would say.
Velma, voiced by Mindy Kaling, aka the person who made this show, is literally unrecognizable as the classic character she's named after. I was fine with the visual redesigns for the characters in theory, so long as the characters stayed true to their classic personalities, then that's what I really cared about. But nope.
She's like our queen bee, and you're like a King Kong.
Velma is now a gross, disgusting jackass who literally eats food out of the garbage regularly, and that's part of the joke that she's just so ugly and awful, and everyone in town hates her.
I saw you eat a fry out of the vacuum cleaner last week, so spare me, I've had a long day.
There was a whole plot point where the pretty girls need to go into hiding so they don't get murdered, and it's literally exactly like that cringy-ass trend from like 2014, where they just wear their hair down and wear ill-fitted shirts and put on glasses, and suddenly the town is like, OMG, you did it, Velma! You made them look as hideous as you!
Key component to being not hot is not fitting in.
It's 2023. Really? Really? This is the style of comedy we're aiming for here? Mindy, I know you peaked in 2012, but I would have thought that you wouldn't get your comedy from that year too. Shaggy now only goes by Norville, he's a big ol' goody two-shoes and is a stickler for the rules and has a big ol' crush on Velma, and I hate it. In fact, every character ends up having a huge crush on Velma at the end, because Mindy Kaling only knows how to make herself the butt of every single joke, but also is apparently desperate to be loved and adored by everybody, apparently.
I mean, sure, if someone was like, want to see a naked picture of Fred? I'd be like, hubba hubba. But I'd say that about anyone.
Freddie and Daphne aren't amazing either, but hey, at least they got something going on. Unlike Scooby-Doo, who isn't even in this show. But they make sure to reference Scrappy at one point in time, though. Fuck you. Yeah, despite being based on a cartoon literally named Scooby-Doo, they decide not to include the titular character, because, quote, it would have been too goofy and unrealistic. As if adult cartoons haven't had talking animals in them 1,000 times before. Also, as if we couldn't have done a million jokes with Scooby and Shaggy. Easy one. Shaggy gets high and thinks Scooby is talking.
Have you tried marijuana?
What? Bam. It's a very lazy answer, but at least it's an answer, which was more than this show did. Also, apparently a talking dog was too crazy and goofy, but 3 talking disembodied brains in jars isn't?
Even now, Brenda has to be the center of attention. Oh, not this shit again, Krista. Guys!
What? Everything about this cartoon is gross and disingenuous. Like, Norville's dad is clearly designed after the classic Shaggy look. Same with Freddy's father, who's even voiced by Frank Welker, who is Freddy and Scooby-Doo's actual voice actor.
It's bad enough you still eat pancakes and drink non-alcoholic beverages like a baby.
But these tiny Easter eggs feel like salt in a wound when Velma stomps her ass center stage and openly mocks animation. Literally, she does that. This crap-ass cartoon not only spits in the face of Scooby-Doo fans, but the fans of animation everywhere. Which, Mindy, pull your head out of your fucking ass for 3 seconds. If you're pissing off the Scooby-Doo fans and the cartoon fans, who the fuck do you think is left who's going to be willing to watch your stupid show? And this dumpster fire of bad ideas had the audacity to leave off on a cliffhanger too. The way it ends is Velma's friends all have giant crushes on her and also simultaneously hate her and each other.
Sure, my personal life was in shambles, but I got my mom back.
Thanks. I hate it.
I know, it's okay. Like the dessert course at an Indian restaurant. Just forget it.
Shout out to my $10 patrons. You're all amazing. Nako, Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Zero to Hero, Isaiah, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Messiah Complex, Jacob, Ben's Sketchbook, The Watcher, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Swift Cannon, The Infinity Effect, Gino, Twisty, and Juan. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of this year? What do you think of my list? Do you have any different opinions on how you would rank the top 10 worst shows of the year? It was neat doing this because for once I actually had shows like enough to make a top 10 list. So let me know what you thought. If you'd like to see this again next year, what are your thoughts and opinions? How much do you hate Velma? God, I hate that show. Any and all thoughts, leave them in the comments. I would love to see them. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.